Hey everybody, welcome to Yoga with Anadil. I am Anadil. Today we have a short but very sweet sequence for opening up into our hips to release any tension that we may find we're holding there, to improve the mobility in this area and to increase the quality of the movements around the hips. So if you're ready, I'll see you on the mat in a mo. Thank you for joining me for this yoga class for hips that will also work a little bit into our hamstrings, our hammies as well. Let's begin by sitting down on your mats with your legs stretched out in front of you. Now, I like to draw the flesh away behind me just to help my pelvis level up a little bit so that the spine is nice and straight. Now, if this feels a little bit strained on your back and you feel like you're losing a little bit of length in the spine, or the hamstrings are feeling tight, you can prop yourself up onto perhaps a folded blanket just to give yourself a little bit of height, or feel free to have a soft bend in the knees. It's perfectly fine. And we'll just support ourselves with our hands for the moment and just maybe shake out the legs to begin with. Let's wake up the energy. It might feel quite nice just to pulse up and down, press in and out into the muscles, just to wake our legs up. And then we'll come to stillness and we'll flex the feet, spreading the toes, and you can feel the activation happening into the legs. And then we'll point down with the toes, all the while breathing in as you flex the feet, spread the toes, and out as you point the feet, and keeping enough length in the spine to support you. So we'll take our right leg and we'll bring the sole of the foot in to rest against the extended left leg. So I'll just switch to the front and show you. So we'll draw in the right foot to rest against the extended left leg, and that may be resting near the ankle, on the shin, or you may find you can draw it up towards your thigh a little bit. And here it's important to allow this hip to rest a little bit. So maybe you can just gently bounce it in and out with your in and out breaths, just to find any tension that you may be holding and breathe it away. So breath in, lift it up. Breath out, sink down with the shoulders, sink down with the hip. Try not to worry too much about the knee. It's more the rotation from the hip. And then once that hip is settled down, we'll invite the torso to face over that front leg. As we breathe in, we'll reach our fingertips forward and up towards the sky. We'll lift tall through the spine, lifting the crown of the head out in front to the sky, not out in front of you, excuse me. And then drop your knee further down towards the earth. Big breath in. And as you breathe out, we'll take our fingertips and reach them as far forward as you're able. So the extended foot is still flexed, and then as we breathe in, we'll lift on up. And as we breathe out, we'll pulse with the breath to forward fold once more. Breath in. Breath will rise on up, spreading the extended toes, maybe even flexing the other toes as well. Just keeping active, maybe fingertips are nice and wide, keeping our full body awareness. And last time, breath in, we'll rise on up once more. Big breath out. Let's take the fingertips wide until they rest down onto the ground. So now we're going to take that right foot and maybe just lift it, being mindful of the knee, and see if you can place it over the extended left leg. And again, your place of rest for that foot may be onto your shin or perhaps above the knee, just to avoid any pressure onto the knee itself. If you feel any pressure in the knee, then we simply come to a position that's a little bit more open so that the knee can ease out of any discomfort. It's important here, particularly for this right leg, to spread the toes and keep them active. It'll protect the knee. And we can rest our hands behind us and just gently rock your hips from side to side, keeping the feet alive and active as we breathe. To just open and release through the hips. Now you can continue with doing that, or you may like to try bending through the extended left leg. So keeping that right leg over your left leg, we'll support behind us. If you are going to add on onto this next little posture, we'll begin to lift the knee of the left leg. And we may begin to feel a stretch through the outer right hip. And then you just continue, keep lifting the heart back up and the spine nice and straight. As you bring that right knee, keep heading it away from your body. Keep flexing through the right foot and the opening through the right toes. And again, let me just open out through the front and show you what that looks like. So you may feel like you need to lean back. If you feel like you've lost the openness of sitting upright, then I would recommend you just take your knee further, your extended leg further out in front of you. Remember to flex this foot on top of your knee to keep nice and active. And once again, open with a breath and just rock from side to side. And releasing the extended leg all the way back down if you're already there. Let's all now release that foot from crossing over the leg and take it back out in front of you. And you can feel free to shake that out. I'm just going to shimmy on back a bit so you can see my feet, and just shake that out. And again, just like we did to begin with, we can flex the feet down with the toes. And we'll now do the opposite leg. So taking the right foot, bending the knee, resting the sole of the foot against your right leg, allowing this hip to open and close. So as you breathe in, you can support yourself with your hands beside you. Let's just lift that knee up off the ground, taking your mind to your hip, and as you breathe out, release. So let's pulse with the breath. In, lifting the knee, and out, allowing that hip to roll out and open. One more time. Breath in, and lift, and breath out, and release. So we're just finding a place that's comfortable for us to ease into, maybe noticing perhaps initially we were holding tension here, but actually with a little bit of focus, we've let that go. And we'll go into our head to knee pose. So we'll pick up the imaginary balloon. So leading with your heart, straight spine, we'll reach forward, keeping the toes on both feet active. And as we breathe in, we'll lift up. Maybe the gaze follows, but keep nice and long in the back of the neck. And as we breathe out, we'll place that balloon as far over as we can. Maybe a gentle bow in the gaze. Breath in, let's pulse with the breath. Keeping the extended leg active. And breath out as we forward fold and releasing through the left hip, the bent hip. Breath in one more time. Activate through both feet. And as we breathe out, this left hip, invite it to relax and ease and release. One more time, breath in to come upright. And as we breathe out, maybe we look at the gaze, the fingertips sweep all the way out to the side and down. You can have a go on this side and just be mindful because one side may be different to the other. We'll lift this left leg over the right. And again, your cross might be over the shin, avoiding the knee, so there's no pressure onto that lower knee. And then otherwise you're placing it above the knee on the thigh. Flexing through both feet, particularly to protect this bent knee. And we're just going to see how it feels here by rocking from side to side, breathing in and out. Moving alongside your breath, pulsing with the rhythm that you find yourself breathing. Move alongside that breath. Release any tension you might be feeling as you breathe out. Coming to stillness. And here is where we explore with lifting the extended knee. Keeping the back nice and straight and your heart upright. So if by lifting that knee once again we lose or we collapse through the back, then it's better to lower that knee slightly so the back isn't taking the weight, but it's actually expanding through the hip. And then we just keep moving and exploring this manner, lifting the navel towards the legs, lifting the heart towards the legs, keeping the back of the neck long, keeping both feet nice and flexed. And once you get to the place where you feel like that's enough for you, then you breathe into that, and once again we begin to gently rock and pulse from side to side with our breath. And you may find after a few breaths you find a little bit more space. You may find after a few breaths actually perhaps you've gone too far, so you ease off. So whichever direction you adjust to, and maybe you don't need to adjust, but whichever direction it is, just get yourself to the place that feels most optimum for you. Breathing, a little bit of a challenge, but certainly no pain, no discomfort. And then let's release that extended leg back down to the ground. You can use your hands to pick up the leg and straighten it through. And again, you can just shake that out. You can flex the feet, point the feet, flex the feet, and point the feet, just to get rid of any tension that might have built up through them. So we'll come onto all fours now, well done. And in all fours, we are placing the hands underneath our shoulders. Fingertips are nice and wide, and our knees are underneath the hip joints, the hip points. And just to make sure we're not passive in our spine, we're going to hug the front of the body very gently, not overcompensating, but very gently into the back body so that we feel nice and strong. And here we are going to lift through the right leg. So with your right leg lifted, I'm going to just swap legs so that I can demonstrate better as we sweep around. So let's take a look at that foot behind us. And then just flip your toenails down towards the earth so it's the top of the foot that's resting on the earth. Now with a strong core, take a big breath in, and as we breathe out, keep looking at that foot, and we're going to very slowly sweep that foot, drawing a line along the ground over to your left hand side. And you're taking your gaze over your left shoulder as much as you can to see if you can have a look at your foot. And really get into that hip, so you may feel like you're going all askew with your alignment. So you pull your hips back in line and maybe even nudge your right ribs out to the side. Breathe and sweep it back to the center. Keep an eye on that foot and maybe even sweep it all the way around to the front of the mat. So sweeping that back leg, keeping an eye on it as it makes its way all the way around. And wherever you want to initially stop is fine. And you just draw gently up through the thighs as you breathe. And breath out, let's just sweep that leg all the way around to your left side one more time. And breath in, taking that right leg, sweeping it all the way in front of you as much as you can. Keeping the alignment of the hips over the knee, nice length in the spine, keeping your gaze onto that foot. And then as you breathe in, for this last time, we'll just bring it back behind us and drop that knee to the ground. Let's lift up the opposite side. So now we're lifting through the left knee, and the top of the foot is being placed down, so the toenails are making contact into the earth. As you breathe in, we're strong through the front of the body, and as you breathe out, you sweep that leg all the way behind you and around, taking your gaze over your right shoulder to see if you can see the foot, And as you breathe in, sweeping the toes all along the ground, being mindful to keep as much contact as you can to the earth, and just see where that foot lands. And again, if you feel like you're collapsing through the front of the body, just create as much space as you can by lengthening through the belly, lifting the heart towards the front, maybe taking your hips back. It's quite nice here to invite the knee to open out and the hip to open out, maybe inviting the knee to face up towards the sky. And you breathe here, and as you breathe out, let's just one more time sweep it all the way around. Big breath in, and as we breathe out, tracing that circle with your foot all the way back to the front of you. Let's breathe in, bringing that foot back behind us, and then dropping that knee down to the earth. So once again, let's lift that right knee. Maybe even lift through the right foot, keeping the heel pushing away, and you can point the toes and then flex the foot, point the toes, flex the foot. This time point the toes, big breath in, and as we breathe out, we're going to bend the knee into nose and really arch that spine up towards the sky, really curl it up so that your knee can come in as far as possible, and we'll drop that foot, help it along in between your hands. So we're going to lift the heart up above the hips. So we're now kneeling into our crescent lunge, and we'll breathe in, lift up through the hands towards the sky, and we'll bend into that front leg, into our crescent lunge. So really getting deep into the hip, keeping the back nice and long. So maybe we need to encourage the tailbone down a little bit as we sink into the hip, keeping the knee nicely stacked over that heel, the ankle. Maybe ease off the front knee and pulse with the breath as you breathe out, leaning once again into that front knee. Let's melt the shoulders down as you breathe out, placing the hands on the outside of that front foot. Let's bring both hands to the inside of that right leg, and we're gently going to shuffle the front foot perhaps a little bit further out to the right edge of your mat into our lizard pose. So here my hands are on fingertips just to give me a little bit more height. In fact, I'm going to swap legs so you can see me a little bit better. And there's a lot of space for me to breathe. So this is a deep opener in the front of your hip, as well as into the crease of the hip on the leading leg. And as you breathe in, take the tailbone down, lift the heart, and extend through the back once more. And if you like, you can begin to just inch your fingertips forward as you lunge a bit further into this lizard pose. So keep breathing here. You may find yourself tilting to one side, so keep flexing both feet to protect the knee, and then gently move your hips down towards the ground so they're nice and level. Keep picking up the heart so we're not rounding through the back and collapsing through our core. And you breathe in here. It might feel nice once again to very slowly and mindfully, with active legs and feet, and by that I mean flexing the feet, the front foot, and spreading the toes. You can gently rock your weight from side to side, and then we'll bring our hands back underneath our shoulders, and then we'll draw that front leg back to meet our left leg. So this time, let's do the other side, lifting through the left leg. Both hips are as parallel to the earth as you can manage today. Big breath in, lead away with the heel, dial down the toes, draw the front of the body gently into the back of the body. And as you breathe out, maybe you point the toes. As you breathe in, maybe you flex the foot. As you breathe in, point the toes. This time, as you breathe out, bend that knee, the left knee, tailbone curls down, spine curls up towards the sky, and you're creating as much space underneath you to bring that knee into nose, and then lift that foot up in front of your hands as much as you're able. And then from here, we'll rise on up, lifting the heart up over our hips. And as you breathe out, we'll lean into our crescent lunge. Now, if you find your knee, like mine is here, going past your ankle, there's quite a lot of compression on your knee and perhaps even overextension in the ankle. So I'm just going to shuffle my foot forward so that my knee is safely stacked over the ankle. And again, inviting the hips to draw around and down towards the earth so they're nice and parallel. Breath in, let's ease off. And breath out, let's dive deeper into those hips, remembering that little visual of surrendering any tension you might be holding here. Melting down through the shoulders, the elbows, cactus arms as you breathe out. Framing that front foot with your hands. And again, I prefer to be on fingertips just to give me a little bit more height. The choice is up to you. You can even bring, if you have yoga blocks, underneath your hands. Let's bring both hands to the inside of that left leg, and we'll gently shuffle that left leg out to the side of the mat. Take your fingertips forward and gently lean your hips further down into the earth by bending into that front leg. And this could be enough to keep flexing the front toes, keep pressing into the back toes, keep lifting the heart, and just very gently keep active in the thighs. And as you breathe out, maybe you feel like you have a little bit more space to move into, to reach forward without rounding through the spine, just keeping the spine nice and long. And here, feel free, once you've met the edge of your effort without powering and pushing on through, just play with the edge. You can rock from side to side, breathe and pulse the movement alongside your breath, keeping the front toes nicely flexed and spread. And then drawing your fingertips back underneath your shoulders, maybe bringing that back hip over the back knee. Shuffling the foot in between your hands once more, and then bringing that front knee back in line into our tabletop position. So here it's quite nice just to move and circle through the hips, maybe leading with the tailbone, let it ripple through the ribs, maybe through the head and in the opposite direction. Remembering to let the breath flow and let the movement move alongside it. So join the movement alongside the breath. And then let's take the knees a little bit wider. Allow the big toes to draw together and invite the hips to sink down over your heels. And wherever that is for you, you can just begin to bring your heart down towards the earth and just settle in to either an extended child's pose, so your arms right in front, resting the elbows onto the ground, sink your weight. You can even rock from side to side into your hips, and then allow the tailbone to curl down a little bit, and bow your head, your forehead onto the earth. Now, if your head doesn't quite reach, you can use your hands as pillows, or maybe even stack your fists on top, just so that you can rest your spine by resting your forehead. And just take a moment here to nourish your body through your breath. Still with a subtle effort of surrendering your hips with every out-breath, releasing, sighing it out. It's quite nice here as you breathe in to draw it in through your belly, let the belly bellow. And as you breathe out, maybe even sigh it out and relax through the hips. One more time, breath in through the belly. And as we breathe it out, just sigh it out. Blow it out, and open and ease through the hips as much as possible. So spend a few moments here, enjoying the stillness, the quiet, the sweetness of releasing the hips. And I'll thank you for joining me once again. See you next time.